they land a premier left tackle. Welcome to Washington, Laremy Tunsil. Come on down. You are the new left tackle protecting the blind side of one Jaden Daniels. So that was a massive move made by Adam Peters and the front office to acquire, dare I say, a Hall of Fame level left tackle.
I don't know if he's a Hall of Fame level, but he's a 5-time Pro Bowler.
I think he's pretty close.
And the metrics are really, really good for him.
Yeah.
When you see next-gen stats and you see what Warren Sharp put out, he is one of the top 2 or 3 left tackles in the game.
And it shows you, too, that Adam Peters, who's been on the job for, I want to say, like 13 months, barely over a year, he's not afraid to step up to the plate and take big cuts. He's ready. He is ready to make big, bold moves when it comes to trades because he's already traded for Lattimore, Debo, and Laremy Tunsil. Like, those are all big swings.
Well, they're
by him.
also win now moves.
Yeah, totally.
You know, which I'm really excited about. But listen, again, we've said it all off season. I think they have needs at every layer of this team other than quarterback. But they're definitely better today than they were yesterday, even though the roster's, far from fully intact. It wasn't necessarily the move that I expected by any stretch. In fact, I was out playing golf and I just kept checking my phone. I kept asking my buddies, have they made any moves? Have they made any moves? Like, what's going on? I mean, I'm sure I missed something. I'm not sure I saw exactly when the Kinlaw thing went down, but I'm going like 3 hours and we're not quiet.
You're fiending for something.
I'm like, what's going on? And then boom, they hit you with it.
And that's one of the great things I think so far about Peters and his crew that he's assembled here. There aren't any leaks. Like you don't know what they're doing. You don't know who they're targeting. You don't know who they're trying to acquire via trade. Like they keep everything on the super down low, which is refreshing because in years past, there used to be leaks. There used to be, we like this guy. We're thinking about picking up this guy. Like there's none of that with Adam Peters. Like they have it on super lockdown in Ashburn, which I think is great.
We don't know if these moves are going to work. We already questioned the Marshawn Lattimore deal. But what we do know is when Ron Rivera left, and you went through any sort of list of the top 100 players in the NFL, you'd be hard-pressed to find more than 1 or 2 on the Commanders. Now, Jaden Daniels clearly was drafted, and he's a top 100 player in the league.
He's definitely on that list.
Yes.
Terry McLaurin is on that list.
Terry McLaurin's on the list. But Lattimore, Debo, and Tunsil, all premier talent.
Yeah.
That's what they were, an under-talented team, and now they've added premier players. Whether they work out or not remains to be seen, but they've added talent.
So when you bring in a talent like that, obviously you have to depart with picks or players. So heading to Houston is the 3rd round pick this year in 2025 and the 2nd and 4th rounder in 2026. So you look at what the Commanders have on deck for the draft. There are not a lot of picks right now. They've got their 1st round pick and their 2nd round pick. That's 29 and 61. Their 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounders are gone. 2 of those in the Lattimore deal. The 5th round pick sent to Philly. That's got to be in the Dotson deal. Then they're back on the board at 207 and 238.
Adam Peters has devalued picks here the next 2 years to upgrade the talent. Now, as EB said, win now mentality.
Yeah.
There's some that might question the deal, but almost everybody that I heard was like, what's Houston doing?
What
the hell are Houston Texans
doing? If you're
doing?
a Commanders fan, why would you question it? You get a premier left tackle. I don't care about Coleman at this point. You move him wherever you want to move him. If you want to move him to right tackle to supplant the right tackle spot, if you want to bump him to the interior, that's fine. But we know where Tunsil's playing. He's coming in and playing left tackle. I saw some people on Twitter like, are you going to move Coleman out of the way?
Yes.
Laremy Tunsil? Yes, absolutely you are. You're going to reshuffle the deck. So you bring him in and you automatically upgrade your offensive line, which people have been bitching and moaning about for years.
Yeah. No, it's great.
How could you have an issue bringing in a top 2 or 3 left tackle in the game?
I think they gave up. The question is, it's not what they're going to do with Coleman, in my opinion. It's did they give up too much to get him? You could maybe make that argument, but it's okay. I think it was a real place of need, protects his blind side, should help in the run game too. It's almost a perfect move, to be honest with you. I'm just absolutely thrilled with it, and I do think that they gave up some real compensation for it.
You have to get somebody that is that talented and that accomplished, who's still in his prime. He's 30.
Yeah.
I mean, this is from Warren Sharp at Sharp Football. In his last 3 years, Tunsil is number 2 of 44 left tackles with 400 plus pass blocking snaps as far as pressure rate allowed. He's number 2 in the league for 3 straight years, behind only Tristan Wirfs.
No, yeah.
You know what? That's a huge upgrade.
Here are even more numbers.
I don't care what the compensation is.
Here's even more numbers from Next Gen Stats. This is over the last 3 seasons. He's 5th in lowest pressure rate, 8%, and 2nd in lowest sack rate, 0.6%.
Right.
Amongst all left tackles over the last 3 seasons. He's a super talented guy who's been productive in the NFL, that has made 5 Pro Bowls. And like I said before, this is a team that didn't have many guys who you would have considered top 100 players in the league. They didn't have premier talent. Now all of a sudden, you got a team with 5 or 6 guys. You're like, well, there's a stud. There's a stud. There's another stud. So Adam Peters, in just a little over a year, has completely transformed this roster.
No, it's super exciting. And, I can't remember that many times when I've been excited about picking up somebody on the offensive line. But it's the kind of move that you need that's foundational. A lot of people were making the comparison to when the Niners picked up Trent Williams, sort of in the prime of his career. Right. He was actually a year older at the time, and we all know what Trent has done, continued to do in San Francisco. Yeah. So, offensive linemen can play a long time in this league. This guy's at the peak of his powers. It's really just sort of a massive stroke by them to pull it off. And the other part of it is, I guess I maybe undersold it a little bit in my own brain. But people just kind of denigrating this class in general. We talked about it a little bit in the weeks leading up to it. But people just overall just not super thrilled with the free agent class. And I think that it shows that Adam wasn't necessarily thrilled with it either and decided he had to get creative. Right. And it didn't want to overpay for some fringe lineman that might be out there. He'd rather go and get a stud. And that's what he did.
I like what Cake said too. And I saw this online. Peters is just kind of like lying in the shadows. Nobody really knows what he's thinking, because I didn't see one article. I didn't hear one person discuss the possibility of acquiring Laremy Tunsil.
I mean, completely out of left field.
Right.
Which is the way you want it. You want your guy lurking in the shadows, not telling everybody what your plans are.
I don't know. I guess that's probably, and on paper, that's probably true. I don't know. Does it matter if there's a leak or not? If you get it done, I mean, maybe it tips your hand to the other teams.
It just tells me that it's a real professional unit and outfit that's working there in Ashburn, building the roster, which is a welcome change for Commanders fans.
Hey, I did this in a day in advance. I put up our Junkies poll of the day. Brought to you by Surfside. We love Surfside. Of course, they've got Surfside iced tea and vodka and Surfside lemonade and vodka. Perfect addition to any gathering. Each can only 100 calories with 0 carbonation for easy sipping. Find Surfside at your local bars and in convenient variety 8-packs at your local liquor stores. Must be 21. Please drink responsibly. And it's Grade the Trade. Grade the Trade. I only put 3 options. A, B, and then I threw in C or lower, which is at 6%.
Right.
We have over 1,000 votes. You can vote at Junks Radio.
It's definitely an A.
Overwhelmingly an A. I thought about putting 3 choices, A plus, A, B, and then nothing else.
Right.
But I threw it in that way.
All right. Coming up on the show, we got John Keim, who covers the Commanders for ESPN.com. We'll break down day 1 of free agency with him. And we'll talk Caps with Joe Beninati. He'll join the show coming up at 9:45. When we come back, Laremy Tunsil was not the only addition. We're going to talk about Javon Kinlaw signing to take the place of the departing Jonathan Allen on the defensive line. We'll discuss that and more when we come back here on The Fan.